participants. I am Arvind, the faculty for School of Information and Technology. I welcome you all on the behalf of Texila e-conference for the 4th e-conference, international e-conference on the global education, research and the technology for sustainable development, which digitally connects to enhance our knowledge to higher level in the respective domain. It's my privilege to give you a keynote on the topic mobile cloud on this international e-conference for the global audience. The outline of the presentation, the introduction about the cloud, the mobile cloud computing, mobile architecture, the application of mobile cloud and the advantages and the open issues in the cloud, and the conclusion. So, history and the evolution of cloud. The cloud computing, it empowers easy on-demand access to shared pool of computing, resource of networks, storage, the server and the application. It is easy to use anywhere, any device can be connected and it can be used. So, resource pooling to serve the multiple consumer dynamically when based on the requirement. It can be scalable to n number of users at the requirement. So, risk, it has no upfront cost, no capital cost is involved, and it can be cancelled and rebuilt whenever the requirement is. When we are talking about the reliability based on the enterprises, hardware and the disaster recovery, it can be easily reliable on the cloud. It is a meter service, that is pay what you use. So these are the main characteristics of cloud. So when you are talking about the service model, it is an on-demand services like infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or a software as a service. So infrastructure as a service, so that is, it can be a server or a storage or the network and the hardware equipments or the service management. For example, HP Cloud Object Store or Amazon Web Service or Bitnami, these are the examples of infrastructure as a service. The platform as a service, that is, it can be deployed on any application tools or the business intelligence and the integration. Example, Cloud9 analysis, cast iron and the data meter. These are the examples of platform as a service. Software as a service, outsource a software, interoperability in the domain such as billing, CRM, HR, ERP, sales and finance. So these are the examples like Google Documents, NetSuite or StreetMarts or Xero. These are the examples for software as a service. So cloud computing altogether, it is providing a service model on-demand service. When we are talking about the deployment of the model of the cloud, it is classified into three major classifications. One is public, private and hybrid. The public is managed and owner of the infrastructure is a cloud service provider, and the dedicated server, it is it is not provided by the public. So in a private external, that is, it is managed by a cloud service provider and it has a dedicated hardware. When we are talking about the private internal, it is managed and owned by internal organization and the dedicated server is yes. Hybrid is a combination of both private and public. It depends the case to case. The general issues and the challenges of cloud. There are major classification of general issues like privacy, security, reliability, legal issues and the open standard. The privacy is nothing but virtual data centers are across the national cross borders with the face different legal systems. That is, the data are stored in the different data centers which is in a different country. When the data is crossed from one national to the other nation, like how much secure the data is a big challenge. The next, when you are talking about the security, how much data is stored, whether it is an internally stored or externally stored, and how much we are going to provide the security, like what are the types of algorithms where we can ensure the data by encryption or decryption. And when we are talking about the reliability, like there are few times where the slowdowns and the downtimes of the server, and how we are going to recover the slowdowns and the downtimes of the data. And when we are legal issues, it's nothing but the safety measures and the confidentiality to legislative levels. Like we need to have it is a kind of a thing where legal issues are managed in service level agreements. We can overcome the legal issues by service level agreements, SLA. And next is the open standard. Like we have the different vendors who provide the services, and like there is a common platform where the APIs including the open cloud computing as an interface. So these are the challenges and the general issues in the cloud. And when we are talking about the mobile cloud computing, it is a new era where digitally we are engaged. That is, mobile cloud computing can be called as a mobile cloud since it encapsulates three major trends, namely mobile cloud computing, and then cloud computing and wireless internets. So it combines the two technology together to form the mobile cloud. According to the recent survey by the Forbes, that 70% of the businesses are using the mobile cloud, that is bring your own device. Mobile cloud computing, mainly it is utilizing the technology is a virtualization, that is a hypervisor creates several virtual modules. So mobile cloud computing is the combination of hardware and the software that provide the pervasive and the utility computing to deploy the resources. So mobile cloud enables the users of the mobile devices to perform the complex functionalities and the data storage via thin client. Thin client is nothing but where the storage and then the computation will be done at the server end, and where the data is we can access through the browser. That is said to be the thin clients, such as the smartphones and the tablets can be called as a mobile cloud. So mobile devices constraint is that a limited battery power with the memory. So these are the when we are talking about the architecture, like it involves the three major constraints, like mobile users will be there and the network operator and with the cloud computing. So it interfaces the internet with the mobile users with the network operator, and then the other end is the cloud service provider. So mobile cloud, like it an architecture forms of two forms, namely a cloudlet and non-cloudlet architecture. So there are three forms of mobile cloud, namely a client model, cloud model and hybrid model. Client model is nothing but it is very similar to software as a service, except that the mobile device, which is a thin client, access mobile cloud service as a web browser. And then next model is then cloud model. It is similar to IaaS, that is infrastructure as a service, where in the mobile device is a part of cloud, and the hybrid is the combination of both the client model and the cloud model. So the application of mobile cloud, when we are talking, like it is used in the various applications like mobile learning, mobile healthcare and mobile e-commerce. That is mobile learning. In mobile learning it combines the e-learning and the mobility. That is the traditional mobile learning has limitation of higher cost devices, networks, low transmission rate, limited education resource. In the mobile healthcare, like it is minimize the limitations of traditional healthcare treatments such as small storage, security, privacy, medical errors. And then mobile healthcare provides mobile users with a convenient access to the resources. Like example, medical records can be accessed through the mobile device. So when we are talking about the mobile e-commerce, like it allows the business model for the commerce using the mobile devices, like mobile financial can be computed, and then mobile advisory and then mobile shopping. This can be done through mobile commerce. So the advantages of mobile cloud is that it can improve the data storage capacity and the processing power, and then improving the reliability and availability and multi-tenancy, that is like a number of users can be access the service, and then dynamic provision. When there is a huge demand on particular service, like it can be dynamically provisioned to access the service. And then scalability, like it is not limited with the particular number of users. For instance, at the period of Olympics, like there will be an requirement of using the particular website, or at the time of cricket match is going on, like there will be dynamically required to access the particular site. So in that time, like it can be scalable to n number of users, and it is easy to integrate. So these are the advantages of mobile cloud computing. So when we are talking about the advantages, there will be a challenges, like it has a low bandwidth, service availability, heterogeneity and security. So for accessing the mobile cloud, it is main constraint is that the bandwidth, it has to be high bandwidth where it can be access the service. When we are talking about the service availability, the mobile users may not able to connect the cloud to obtain a service due to the traffic congestion, network failure or the mobile signal strength problem. And the heterogeneity, again, it will be a various platforms where the handling the wireless connectivity with high heterogeneous network to satisfy the mobile cloud computing requirements. Always on connectivity, on-demand scalability and then energy efficiency is a difficult problem. And then security, like when we are talking about the security, the major concern is that the mobile cloud need to have the proper security mechanism, thereby ensuring the security, namely confidentiality, integrity and availability. So the loss of governance to complete and control the mobile cloud service provider solution is an service level agreement. So by having the service level agreements, both the vendor, that is the consumer, and the service provider will same on the same page, and they can have their own governance. Like if there is any ambiguity is there, that can be guarded and leads to failure. So responsibility of the failure lies in the stakeholders. So we need to have the authentication and authorization mechanism to ensure that the security and the privacy is managed. Isolation failure. Any of the resources such as the storage, the network get failed, then it should be separate from the other resources by isolating the failure resources. So whenever the failure occurs, we need to eliminate that particular part, and rest of the functionality has to be managed. And the compliance and the legal risk, the consumer ensure that the mobile cloud service provider has the legal certificate before availing the service, and later on the consumer should not claim to the service provider that this kind of security is not provided, or this kind of when the downtimes like it is not able to support, like this kind of later on confusion should be avoided by having the service level agreements. Handling of the security episodes, that is, in service level agreements, the notification rules need to be understood by the consumer regarding the unstable delay. So these has to be enabled at the time of service level agreement between the cloud consumer and the cloud service provider. So management the interface weakness, that is interface to oversee the open cloud resources through internal or by conventional facility consolidating with the remote and web program vulnerability. So when as we all know that the thin client is used, where the service of the mobile cloud is through web browsers. So we need to have a common platform where they have the convenient facility to use the web programs. So information security, that is confidentiality, integrity and availability to sure for all the organizations. If the sensitive data are leaked, hard to manage in instance for various exchange of information between the the cloud service provider or the service provider who utilizes the contractor. So visibility and the audit review, like shadow IT, most of the organizations are using the cloud, like the service provider may not aware that what kind of service has to be given to the employer of a various level. For instance, the manager may access the certain limitation of the data, whereas the clerk or the next level to the manager who is that he will be accessing very limitation. So we need to have the visibility and the audit review properly. So vendor lock-in period, that is, the service leads to dependence, the lack of portability to access information, and leads to unavailability of data when the consumer needs to be changed the service provider. For instance, if the user, when the organization is accessing the mobile cloud or the cloud computing, at one point or other they may end their period of cloud computing and they may go with the other service provider. In that case, like how much duration that particular data is going to be with the existing service provider, and what is the service level agreements it is given. So we need to ensure all these constraints, and we have to come up with then in the service level agreements. So when we are talking about the mobile cloud, we need to ensure the authentication part, that is we can ensure by various authentication mechanism by using your conventional way of username password, or by using the fingerprint authentication, or by image site view authentication. So we need to protect the data by digital identity in the cloud, that is biometric authentication can be given, like it is these are the open issues where you can have your research in the broad way, like you can use the biometric authentication, like it involves the fundamental variables like identification, authentication and non-repetition, and it can be overcome with a conventional framework which utilizes the cryptographic methods based on the key. And then biometric authentication is a static authentication framework where the individual will be confirmed at the beginning of the procedure itself, whereas the physical biometric techniques such as the fingerprint, palm, retina, etc. are the behavioral biometric strategies such as voice, signature, etc. can be used. So we have to ensure that how the authentication, the framework should be a strong framework where we need to give the authentication for the mobile cloud computing. So multi-level authentication can be also availed for the mobile cloud, that is cloud computing as it is a global community where it is utilized by the various service providers with the various consumer. It is mandatory to have the strong authentication to unauthorized users by various techniques like textual or graphical or 3D passwords can be used. The authentication techniques are implemented at the multiple levels to access the cloud service. So the multi-level authentication along with the architecture activities can be make our authentication more firm. So the conclusion is that the research area can be proceed with the discussed key points, and the issues of mobile cloud, we need to ensure the authentication mechanism by trustworthiness and the integrity. So I like to thank the organization chair and the TIU for giving me the wonderful opportunity to be the part of International E-Conference. My hearty wishes to the participants for their presentation. Thank you.